In this video, we are going to go ahead and create our first file and see if we can access it and make it show up on our web browser. So we have these two folders inside our first website project. I'm going to go ahead inside the tutorials. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it 1-1-basic HTML elements. And this here is just going to be a spot where we can put some test files as we kind of explore different parts of our website. So we're going to make a new file in here. And I'm going to call this just basic HTML elements. And we're going to make essentially a website file, and it is a type of HTML. So HTML files are what you see on the web browser. That's what we're going to write our code in to get something that shows up on the internet. And because it is an HTML file, it needs an HTML extension. So whatever you call your file here, we're then going to do .html. And if we've done it correctly, we'll see this little bracket symbol here in orange, which indicates that Visual Studio Code knows that this is an HTML file. I'll click enter. Okay, and now we have our HTML file. So again, this HTML is a type of coding language, and we can write different commands in here, and Visual Studio Code and its compiler will translate that into stuff that the internet can read and see. Now, HTML uses what are called tags, and tags have these bracket symbols, as you can see up here. And inside the bracket symbols, we will have different commands. Now, every HTML file begins with the tag HTML. Now, with using Visual Studio Code, we'll get lots of hints like this. You'll see this wrench button here with HTML next to it. Let's click enter. Oops, I'll try again. HTML, and then click enter. So the reason this didn't work the first time is I started to use the bracket, but if you just write the word HTML and then click enter or tab, it will create the brackets for you. So let's look at what we have here. We have basically two things. We have one here and one here. This first one is called a opening tag. That is like the start of our like, if these two things are a group, that's the beginning, and then this one here is the closing tag, which is the ending. In between is all the stuff we want to have happen inside that tag. So what this HTML says here is, hey, everything inside is part of my website. So this HTML tag indicates the stuff in here that's meant to be my web page. So in between, I'm going to just click enter a few times. Return, return, return. Just give ourselves some space so you can see that like this stuff in here, this is what our website is supposed to be. Now, if you click at the end of this HTML tag and click return, it will indent our code for us. That's kind of like saying this line is inside this tag here. So we are inside the HTML tag. And we're going to add two parts here. We're going to add a head. You can click enter. And after it, we are going to add a body. And you notice each time I'm indenting. So I'm not going to have the body start here. And these are the main components of our website. We have a head. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but this is kind of like conceptual metadata stuff that we'll put in here. And the body is things that we're going to have actually show up on our website. I'm going to clean this up a little bit by just deleting these lines down here. And then we kind of have our structure. So HTML indicates the whole website. Head is kind of our metadata. And body is the things we're going to see on the website. I'm going to click at the end of the body tag here and click return. That's going to put me nicely in line with inside the body. And we're going to add two things here. We're going to add a header and we're going to add a paragraph. To do a header, we'll type H, and there's different numbers here. We'll do H1, and you can click return. And I'll write test header. And so what's happening here is this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, and this is what shows up inside. So the command here essentially says, take this text and apply the header, we'll call it header 1 for now, to this. And we'll see what's going to happen with that in a second. Below it, so on the line beneath, we're going to type P, and this stands for paragraph, and click enter. And I'm just going to write test paragraph. And when you do this, you'll notice that there's a button up here, like a little circle. That means my project is unsaved. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this right now by doing Control S. And that's going to save my file, and now that dot has gone away. And so right now we currently have just a general structure for our web page. We have the HTML to indicate it's the entire thing as a website, and then in our body we have 2 elements. Let's see if we can look at and figure out what these things are doing. We need to open this file in a web browser. To do that, I'm going to right click on this tab, and you can see there's a button called Reveal in File Explorer. I'll go ahead and click that, and it's going to open up our File Explorer to this file. You can see that Microsoft Edge has already recognized it's an HTML file. Let's double click it. You can choose whatever browser you prefer. And you might have like a permissions warning or something, but we should see something like this pop up. We can see we are in our web browser and we have the header, test header, and the paragraph, test paragraph, which is great. That means our website is working. If you don't see this, check to make sure you don't have that circle there and you've saved your file. So what have we done so far? We've made a header, we made a paragraph, and basically the Internet Explorer, whatever browser you're using, has translated this into a website. And so that's our first beginning. This is our first website here. In the next video, we will look at a few more different tags we can use to add a little bit more information to our website.